Dear students, suppose a copper block of mass m is given and we supplied some heat energy. How much? Some 5 joules of heat energy is supplied to this block. Then what happens? It was initially at 20 degrees centigrade temperature, and after absorbing the heat energy, its temperature increased. So there is a rise in temperature. So what is the rise in temperature? So let me write here delta Q, and here delta T, rise in temperature. 30 minus 20 is equal to 10 degrees centigrade. So when we applied some amount of heat for a given mass of substance, when some amount of heat is supplied, its temperature increased by some amount. Now what you can write here? So there is direct proportionality between these two. Delta Q is directly proportional to delta T. If you supply less amount of heat energy, the temperature rise will be less. If you supply large amount of heat energy, the temperature difference will be large. So there is direct proportionality between heat supplied and temperature rise. So therefore the ratio of these two for a given substance will be a constant. Therefore delta Q by delta T is a constant for a given substance. And that constant is shown by capital S. So and this S is called as heat capacity. This S is called heat capacity. So now if you want to define the heat capacity, what all you have to do is make the denominator equal to 1. Then what happens? S becomes equal to delta Q. That means the energy required to increase temperature of a substance by 1 degree centigrade is called its heat capacity. Heat energy required to increase temperature of a given mass through 1 degree centigrade is called its heat capacity. And this heat capacity value depends upon the given substance, and it depends upon the temperature. Now let us see its SI unit. See, S is equal to delta Q by delta T. S is equal to delta Q by delta T. In the numerator it is energy, joules. In the denominator temperature, Kelvin, joules per Kelvin. For a given mass of substance, for delta T rise in temperature, for a given mass means M. For delta T rise in temperature, delta Q heat is required. For unit mass of substance, for unit rise in temperature, how much heat is required? So 1 by M into here unit rise. For unit rise in temperature, how much heat is required? So 1 by M into 1 by delta T into delta Q. So this much energy is required, and this is called as specific heat capacity. This is called as specific heat capacity. Say 1 by M delta Q by delta T. Its SI unit is joule, kg, Kelvin. Definition. To define specific heat capacity, make the denominator equal to 1. That is unit mass, unit rise in temperature. For unit mass and unit rise in temperature, the heat required is called as its a specific heat capacity. Heat energy required to rise temperature of unit mass of a substance through 1 degree centigrade is called its a specific heat capacity. And its value depends upon substance and temperature. Its value depends upon the substance as well as temperature. But here you see delta Q by delta T was defined as heat capacity. Let us look at here. See, delta Q by delta T is called as heat capacity, and that was represented by capital S. Therefore, this part, see, let me write once again here. S is equal to 1 by M delta Q by delta T. But the delta Q by delta T is nothing but heat capacity. That is capital S by M. So from this, heat capacity becomes M into S. That is the relation between heat capacity and specific heat capacity. Here, amount of substance is taken in as a mass, and the mass is in kg. So if you take amount of substance in mass, then we call this as specific heat capacity. If instead of mass in kg, if you take moles of a substance, then it is called molar specific heat capacity. For mu moles of a substance, for delta T rise in temperature, delta Q amount of heat is required. For 1 mole of a substance, for unit rise in temperature, how much heat is required? So 1 by mu into 1 by delta T into delta Q, and this is called as molar specific heat capacity. So molar specific heat capacity is given as 1 by mu into delta Q by delta T. Now we define this as heat energy required to rise temperature of 1 mole of a substance through 1 degree centigrade is called its molar specific heat capacity, and it's the SI unit. In the numerator, heat energy joule. In the denominator, moles. And here Kelvin. Now, let us find molar specific heat capacity of a solid. First of all, whether it is a solid or liquid or gas, the definition is same. The definition is same. Now, coming to solid, uh, let us consider its internal energy. Internal energy again, internal energy of any substance is a sum of internal energy of a substance is sum of potential energies and sum of kinetic energies. Now, in case of gases, what we did in case of gases, see, the gas molecules are far apart. The force of attraction in case of a gas, the gas molecules are far away from each other. The force of attraction between them is very weak. Therefore, potential energy is neglected and only kinetic energy is considered. Only kinetic energy is considered in case of gases. But when it comes to solids, how is a solid? Looking at the diagram, we can understand. In a solid, the atoms are closely spaced. Therefore, potential energy cannot be neglected because the force of attraction between the molecules will be more because the distance is less. The distance between two molecules is very small. Therefore, the force of attraction between the molecules is more. Therefore, they will have potential energy. Like in liquids or in gases, the molecules cannot move from one place to another place. Molecules in a solid, they will be there only. It cannot move from one place to another place. So they do not possess translational kinetic energy. And it cannot rotate around its axis. They do not possess rotational kinetic energy also. Next, vibrational kinetic energy. But see, this between this atom and this atom, the atoms behave as if they are connected by springs. And at room temperature, all the atoms will be vibrating. And when they vibrate, the distance between any two atoms decreases and increases. They come closer and move farther. Like that, along an axis, they move to and fro. And while vibrating, the spring, whether stretched or compressed, the energy stored inside the spring is given by the expression elastic potential energy, and that is called 1 by 2 kx square. And since they are moving with certain velocity to and fro, therefore they will possess some kinetic energy of half mv square. So I can write here, therefore I can write here, in place of potential energy I write elastic potential energy, that is 1 by 2 kx square, and kinetic energy means half mv square. So now we make use of law of equipartition of energy. law of equipartition of energy. So according to law of equipartition of energy, for this mode the average energy is 1 by 2 kBT, and for this mode the average energy is 1 by 2 kBT. So the total energy becomes kBT. The total energy becomes kBT. But this is for one dimension. See here. See, a solid is a three-dimensional object. See, this is x-axis, this is y-axis, this is z-axis. The atoms are spread along the three dimensions. Therefore, total internal energy for a solid is, so this is for all the three axes, for all the three dimensions, we get 3 into kBT, that is 3 kBT. And this total energy calculated is for one molecule. This is for one molecule. If we take 1 mole of a substance, it will contain Avogadro number of molecules. So, internal energy of 1 mole. One mole solid is U is equal to 3 kBT into Na. And here but Kb into Na. Kb means Boltzmann constant, Na is Avogadro number. Both are constants, and the product of the two constants is represented by universal gas constant. Therefore, we write here 3 RT. U is equal to 3 RT. Now, if U is equal to 3 RT, delta U is equal to 3R delta T, because 3 and R are constants. Change in temperature involves change in internal energy. So, delta U is equal to 3R delta T, or delta U by delta T is equal to 3R. This is another equation. Now let me write first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics, that is Q minus W is equal to delta U, or Q is equal to delta U plus W. So W is work done. and work done is P into delta V. But when you give heat energy to a solid, it expands, but the expansion is very small compared to expansion of liquids or gases. This expansion is negligible compared to liquids and gases. Therefore, we take this as 0. 0 into something 0. So we get delta Q is equal to delta U. Let us substitute this value in 1. We get C is equal to 1 by mu. Delta Q means delta U by delta T. Now we got delta Q is equal to delta U. That is, whatever heat energy is supplied, it is utilized to increase its internal energy only. In case of solids, the heat energy supplied is just utilized to increase its internal energy. Why means the work is not done because the its expansion is very negligible. Therefore, delta Q, all the energy supplied is utilized to increase its internal energy only. Therefore, delta Q is equal to delta U. So here let us substitute in place of delta Q, delta U. Substituting this in first equation, we get 1 by mu. See here, actually this is the equation. We write in place of delta Q, you write delta U by delta T. For 1 mole gas, C is equal to mu is equal to 1 mole gas. Mu means number of moles. C is equal to 1 by 1 into delta U by delta T. Now, but delta U by delta T is equal to 3R according to equation 2. From equation 2, this is equal to 3R. So we got molar specific heat of a solid as 3R. It is a very strange. R is universal gas constant. 3 is a constant. So specific heat of a solid can be a copper block, aluminum block, brass block, different substances, aluminum block. So here the molar specific heat capacity is, it is a constant. It is a constant. C value not depending on substance. Earlier, specific heat capacity, this depended upon C is equal to 3. 3 is a constant, R is a constant, therefore molar specific heat capacity is a constant. C value not depending upon substance. Unlike this, specific heat capacity depends upon substance and temperature. But molar specific heat capacity is a constant. It doesn't depend upon substance or temperature. And universal gas constant value is 8.3 joule per mole Kelvin. Substituting here, C is equal to 3 into 8.3 joule per mole Kelvin. We got this value. Now let us look at the table values. We got C value, specific heat of solid 3R, it is 24.9. Now look at the various substances: aluminum, carbon, copper, lead, silver, tungsten. 24.4, 24.5, 26.5, 26, 25.5, 24.9. So these values are nearer to the theoretical value. Just carbon is deviating. Except carbon, all others are nearby only. As table 13.1 shows, the experimentally measured values which generally agrees with predicted value 3R at ordinary temperatures. Carbon is an exception. The agreement is known to break down at low temperature. So they match with the values at ordinary temperatures, but at low temperatures they deviate. Okay. Now our next topic is specific heat capacity of water. Just now we told whether it is solid or liquid or gas. Specific heat capacity, it depends upon the S value depends upon substance and temperature. On these two things it depends. Now S value how depends on substances? Here a graph is given. This graph is drawn for water. On x-axis we have taken temperature and on y-axis we have taken specific heat capacity. With temperature, first the specific heat capacity gradually decreasing, reaching a minimum value, afterwards again increasing. At which temperature is the specific heat capacity is 1 calorie per gram. See here, you draw an horizontal line, and where it touches the curve, there you draw a vertical line. So that will be between 14 and 15 degrees centigrade. That's why actually how a calorie is defined. 1 calorie is defined to be 1 calorie was earlier defined to be amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade. In this way earlier it was defined, but when you see the graph, its specific heat capacity value is not uniform. Therefore, what they did, at what temperature its value is 1, that they have seen between 14 and 15 degrees centigrade, it is having 1 value. Therefore, they changed slightly the definition. Same definition, but the 1 degree centigrade rise is taken in this range, in this temperature range. See how, let us say the definition now used. 1 calorie is defined to be the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water from 14.5 to 15.5 degrees centigrade. Here the temperature rises 1 degree only, but from 14.5 to 15.5. Why it is like that given? Say here it is having one value from 14.5 to 15.5. That's why this range is mentioned.